An in-depth interview with Alabama. This is Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, an in-depth interview with Alabama's top political newsmakers. Now, from the studios of Troy University, here is Steve Flowers.
I'm Steve Flowers, and welcome to Alabama Politics. Folks, we're fortunate tonight to have as our guest one of my good friends and buddies from way back yonder, Jim Perdue, the former probate judge of Crenshaw County and now the head of the Department of Mental Health of the state of Alabama. Jim, good friend, good to see you on the show.
Steve, good to be with you again.
Jim Perdue and I go way back. Folks, I look a lot older than Jim, but y'all wouldn't know it. We're the same age, 2 days, 48 hours difference in our ages. And we're from the same neck of the woods, and we've known each other a long time. But Jim, like a lot of folks I have on this show, is not a lifetime politician like some of us are. He was a businessman for most of his adult life, and in the middle part of his adult life, he was appointed probate judge of Crenshaw County and was elected again, and then about 4 or 5 years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago. How long has it been there, Jim?
Well, Steve, I've been in this office about 18 months.
Oh, that been about 18 months.
July 1, 2015.
Seems like it's been longer than that. But,
it has.
But you hit the ground running. Actually, your relative, Jim Reddock, was head of that department for a long time, wasn't he?
Right. It's really odd. Jim Reddock was the commissioner for a couple of years. His grandfather was Irby Reddock and was the probate judge of Crenshaw County.
Is that right?
So the Reddocks and the Perdues through the farmer connection. His grandmother was a farmer. My grandmother was her sister.
Yeah, all y'all farmers and Perdues and Reddocks are all the heart and soul of Crenshaw County. How far back does your family go in Crenshaw County?
Well, the farmers go back to years ago in Elam Baptist Church in Goshen, Alabama. Actually, your home county in Pike County.
Right.
And my grandfather, who was Virgil Perdue, came in, met his bride, and bought a farm. Went to Blakely, Georgia for a little while, but returned back to Crenshaw County during the Depression, and we've been there ever since.
You know, so your Perdues and farmers married over there in Elam Church, over there, right there. That's right. Where a lot of farmers are still over there in Pike County farmers.
We have a farmer reunion every year.
You know, Emory farmer may be kin them. He's from Pike County.
He is kin. I'd always joked and said if Emory Farmer had been governor, we'd have probably been first cousins.
That's right. You know, Emory was a family from Pike County and Troy, but they moved during the Depression to Montgomery, right?
That's correct.
The Depression. And he went to school early years with old Bubba Trotman.
That's right.
You know, Bubba's from Pike County.
That's right.
And so Bubba, my mom, was a little few years ahead of Emory, but he was a long-time mayor.
So, Stephen, you and I go probably closer than we even know. Pike County roots. We played ball against each other in high school. And
all there together. But you know, actually, my great-grandmama's people are berries. You know, the Sandra berries. You know, right there on the line, Glenwood. Yeah. I'm so hell. We didn't know about it. You know, maybe kin each other. You know, Sandra. You were glad to have her in that probate office, wasn't you?
That's right. Sandra Berry was a great chief clerk. Had a lot of knowledge. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for people like Sandra Berry.
Jim, tell me this. Go back. You're talking about one of your ancestors being probate judge. Who were some of the probate judges of Crenshaw County back before? Who was probate judge during the time Beelan was probate judge of Butler and Ben Reeves was probate judge of Pike? Who was y'all's probate judge?
Well, we had Judge Irby Reddock. We also had Judge Lloyd, who was a local family name. Not very many Lloyds around that. Judge McSwain.
Oh, that's who I'm thinking about. I saw his grandson or his son on my walk yesterday. Malcolm lives in Troy.
That's correct. And then Judge Harbin
Yeah, that's the one I'm
Ira
thinking
Harbin
about.
is
Had a trucking company.
had a trucking company, and then Judge Falk, and then me.
Yeah.
And now Will Tate is probate judge of Crenshaw County.
I really like him.
People really do. He's tall like you, and
He was his mom was circuit clerk.
his mama was circuit clerk.
Uh-huh.
It's funny how politics kind of gets in a family. You know, you've been in it a long time. I was around it, but not in it until around 2000.
Oh, Will Tate, I got to know him. I had a little book sign over there.
That's right.
And he was there the first time I'd met him after you left to become mental health commissioner. Jim, you know, going back, and I know our viewers may not care, but it's been like politics. We used to have a situation, and Pike, Butler, and Crenshaw were always married together legislatively. Matter of fact, when I was a little boy, and you were the same way, we had they were all together. We had 2 House seats and a Senate seat.
That's right.
And Butler and Pike would have the House seats, and they'd give Crenshaw the Senate seat.
Right.
And Alton Turner was in that seat, then Wendell Mitchell got it.
Alton Turner and then Wendell Mitchell. And now Butler, Crenshaw, and Pike are separated.
I know it.
And we kind of miss that. You know, Pike is tied in with Coffee. Butler is tied in Senator Hank Sanders' district toward the
Butler's
west.
already in that district.
Crenshaw is in with Montgomery and Senator Dick Brubaker.
How has that worked out for Crenshaw County? Has that worked out better than having, of course, nothing worked out as good as having Wendell.
Yeah, Wendell was a good friend, and it was great for Crenshaw. Brubaker's a great guy and a good senator, and it's been good. Of course, he says he's not going to run again, so Crenshaw could have an opportunity for someone to run. Now, Crenshaw is the only whole county in that district as it stands right now. It's part of Montgomery, East Montgomery, and part of Elmore County, East Elmore.
Jim, did you know Alton Turner?
Oh, very well.
You know,
I was a page in the Senate for Alton Turner.
Is that right? Did you? But he was a good old guy, wasn't he? He was powerful.
Very, very smart, saw things a lot quicker than a lot of people, understood politics like Nick Saban knows football. I mean, he was a master.
Well, Crenshaw had that Senate seat for a long time, and then, but you were in the wholesale grocery business, or not?
I was in the construction business.
Yeah.
I built convenience stores, built them in Panhandle of Florida, South Alabama, and so forth. It was a real good small business, but covered quite a bit of an area. And you know, politics is involved in everything, so I got involved in politics through the what was known then as the Alabama Oilmen's Association, and now Association of Convenience Stores, home builders through the insurance, self-insured insurance programs, and the next thing you know, I'm in politics.
Jim, tell our viewers how you got to be mental health commissioner with Governor Bentley and everything.
Well, it's interesting.
You were sitting probate judge.
I was in the best job in the state, and
I'll
that's
tell
a
you something,
small county probate judge seat.
Those probate judges appreciate you. You got really involved in the association.
I did, and that helped. I ran for Secretary of State, as you may recall, and I toured the state. I met senators and House members before they met each other. I saw them as they stumped in their hometowns and in their chambers of commerce and different clubs. And so when they got to Montgomery, they knew me before they knew each other. Well, that helped the Probate Judges Association, and it helped me. So that when, and Bentley was running for re-election at the same time. So got to know him rather well. And he asked me to get involved in the team. The next thing you know, he appoints me Commissioner of Mental Health, July of 2015. So
now, you've hit the ground running. You've really been traveling a lot. Tell our viewers about what's going on with mental health today, and then we may go back in the future.
Let's go back in the past.
Let's start with the past
and talk about the history of mental health. You know, in Alabama, Bryce Hospital was built in 1861. Peter Bryce built it just before the Civil War. And it had
was he a medical doctor?
5,000 beds
Was he a medical doctor?
Yes, Dr. Bryce Dr. Bryce and his wife are buried right there on the University
Was
of
it
Alabama.
a private hospital?
Well, it was done through public contributions. It was not.
But it started off as a mental health
was not
thing.
appropriated through the legislature.
Uh-huh.
Now, they had 5,000 beds there. We have 268 beds now in the new Bryce.
5,000 beds.
It was the largest building, I've been told, in the state of Alabama, and it was a mental hospital. But Steve, we also had facilities in Searcy. Searcy Hospital is in Mount Vernon, Alabama, in North Mobile County. That facility was built in and around an old fort, a garrison known as Fort Stoddart. Fort Stoddart was built before Alabama was a state in 1819.
Cost Mobile down there.
It was the highest point in Mobile County. From a turret structure on campus there, you could see Mobile Bay on a clear day. So if a sailing ship came in, you could tell, you knew there was going to be company. But it was the end of the federal road from Atlanta into the Mississippi, Louisiana territories. As an interesting point is that Geronimo from the French and Indian Wars was incarcerated there, but we had a vice president of the United States incarcerated there.
Who was it?
Aaron Burr shot
Hamilton.
in a duel in New Jersey, and
They
escaped.
put Burr down here?
And they caught him when the territories and brought him to Fort Stoddart till they could get him back up for prosecution.
Right. Isn't
So
that interesting?
very, very, it's the most historical untouched site right now. And I'm trying to do some things about that. We closed the hospital there 3 or 4 years ago.
It's closed completely. Search
Closed
is gone.
completely. So we still protect it. I'm trying to get some local funding mixed. I met with the mayor, meeting with a delegation down there to help preserve and eventually restore the old fort so that it will be preserved for history. In North Alabama, we had the old tuberculosis hospital, TB hospital.
Where was it?
In Decatur, North Alabama Regional Hospital, and we closed it. The last patient was moved out of there the month before I took office, so his last patient was there in June of 2015. So we've transformed mental health quite a bit. Now you can imagine in the old Bryce Hospital with 5,000 people there or more, it was overcrowded then too.
What's the status of Bryce's now?
Well, Bryce now, the University of Alabama purchased it from the Department of Mental Health.
There's no mental health patients there?
It will be, oh no, we're across McFarland now.
Oh, in a new facility.
In a brand new
You call it
state of the
Bryce's
art.
still?
And it's still Bryce.
How many people are in?
268 beds.
That's all?
That's it.
Because now you let people stay out and where they're from and everything.
They're more in the communities. There's a hallmark case in federal court known as White v. Stickney. Now, Stickney was the commissioner. White was one of the patients.
What years was this?
This started in the late 70s, and lawyers made careers off of White v. Stickney. It was settled during the Siegelman years, in like 2003. So for nearly 30 years,
that long?
White was debated and
the
finally
state was
settled.
paying out legal
That's
fees
right.
for both sides, probably.
Oh yeah.
Both sides made money off the state.
So the White.
That's probably why it wasn't settled.
The White it could be. The White case helped transform mental health. Now, a person can't be held involuntarily for more than 150 days without a rehearing. So that it's used to, people would bring people to Bryce Hospital or Partlow and leave them. And they stayed till the day they died. And they were buried right there on what is now the University of Alabama campus. They didn't.
Well,
they
can
didn't
you
even
build anything on those graves?
No, we still own the cemeteries and we protect them and make sure they're maintained with the university's help.
Folks just take them out and leave them.
Absolutely.
So they, who determined they were mentally ill?
Well, we had psychiatrists and psychologists but we also had people with intellectual disabilities that were brought there.
Yeah.
And you know, we were an agrarian society. We're a very rural agricultural communities, And so people that worked didn't know what to do with these people, so they took them to Bryce, they took them to Tuscaloosa. Now, the benevolence of that is this. A lot of these families left farmland or gave farmland to the department because of what the Department of Mental Health did back then. And that legacy is now still in some of the things we do. The whole Bryce campus, which is now fraternity houses and other facilities up there, the Bryce campus was about as big as the university campus at one time. So now the university owns all of that. We have a new hospital. We have 900 employees in Tuscaloosa.
Did that Bryce land jump right up back to the fraternity row over there?
Well, the new fraternity row in the university, those are built on the lawn of Bryce Hospital.
It was that, I thought it was that close, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so the university bought it. We did some land swap. The department still has several acres, and we're trying to convert acreage into service by doing some innovative things, working with the university. In Tuscaloosa, the partners are the Department of Mental Health, the University of Alabama, the City of Tuscaloosa, and Tuscaloosa County. And so we try to work together to make sure that all the things we do benefit each other. And so it's been good. It's been good for the department, and it's been good for the university, and that of course they had space to grow and go.
Jim, going back to White Stickney, what was I don't know if we got clear on what the final adjudication declared, that it's not going to be big centers but all over the state.
Well,
what was that where you
that's the plan, is that you couldn't just put someone involuntarily into a hospital and leave them.
Well, now probate judges are the gatekeepers for that now.
The probate judges are the court of original jurisdiction for mental commitments and remain so.
It hadn't always been that way, though, has it?
No, it pretty much has been.
Has been?
Yeah. The courts in each of the counties would commit someone. Now, where they went depended on their location. In South Alabama, Searcy. Central Alabama was Grill right here in Montgomery.
Yeah.
And then Tuscaloosa at Bryce, or at North Alabama Regional. In Tuscaloosa, we also have one facility. It's Taylor Hardin Secure Medical Facility. And that's for those individuals that are not guilty by reason of insanity or mental defect.
So that's a prison.
It's not a prison. It's a hospital. It is a hospital.
But they have guards to guard them and everything?
Oh, absolutely. And
is that under your bailiwick?
It is absolutely.
So you kind of get that prison a little bit. It's sort of like a prison. It's not really a prison.
It's not a prison. It's a secure. The difference is that these individuals have been adjudged not guilty.
You probably have something like Jack Nicholson in there. Remember Jack Nicholson?
Well, that was a popular movie. We've had several different people there. You know, it's
Cuckoo's Nest.
But then a court will require us to determine whether or not someone can be competent enough to assist their attorney in their defense. So they may not end up at Taylor Hardin, but we still have to do that assessment to assist the courts.
How many folks are there?
115. Now, we have 115 there, but we have others that are placed in hospitals once they need something less secure. But it's up to the courts to decide whether or not they can ever be released. No, not me. Now, we do on civil commitments. Once your local probate judge sends someone to Bryce, it's once they're committed, they're ours, and then we decide whether or not they are capable of returning back home or not.
Jim, so the White Stickney, the concept was to decentralize.
It has been.
That's been who adjudicated, the federal judge?
Yes.
Was it a court? Did it go to how far did it go up before it was
Judge Johnson was the
He was
judge.
still on the bench.
He was.
And
now,
he gave that adjudication. He's supposed to have centers around.
And the decision was to keep people as close to home as possible. We still have you can't build large institutional hospitals just to house them in, because that's what we did. We warehoused people.
Yeah.
We not only that, but those with intellectual or developmental disabilities. Those were at Partlow. We had regional centers like at Tarwater or Wallace centers in other parts of so it's quite a transformation. Now you got to realize that the demand for mental health services has not reduced. The institutional beds have reduced. So really we're busier with more people than ever. But Steve, we also have jurisdiction over substance abuse. We do screening before someone goes from a mental institution into a nursing home. We make sure that they're in the appropriate area.
Who oversees these regional mental health centers? That's not on your bailiwick, is it?
Well, they are. They're contracted through us to community mental health centers and to hospitals that are designated mental health facilities. So we serve about 150,000 people a year in some form or fashion.
Does their funding come from the state, or is it federal?
Through us in both state and federal. Institutional care is right out of the state pocketbook.
100%.
100%. Now, delivery that's done through federal match, like Medicaid, is for those.
Y'all can get reimbursed through Medicaid.
Well, they're not reimbursed. We put up hours and they'll do a match, usually about 2.5 times.
Most of them would fit that Medicaid, wouldn't they?
Well, not those that are institutionalized, and that's the difference. Whether they're
state gets that 100%.
We have to pay 100%.
How much does it cost to institutionalize a mental health person?
Well, institutional care, depending on the severity of their illness, it could cost $100,000 or more per person.
Wow.
It's someone with an intellectual disability, which we don't institutionalize those type people anymore, or more in either group homes or at home settings with supports, and the cost comes down with it. So to transform it, we can save money or at least send more money to more people. But when you take federal dollars, and I warn people, federal dollars comes with federal regulation. You may get 10% federal dollars, but you take 100% of the regulation that comes with it. Mm-hmm. So when you take Medicaid, the feds will tell us CMS, which is the Centers for Medicaid and Medicaid Services, they send the book of rules with the money. And so it's not simple. It's very complicated. But you know, with administration changes that's going on in Washington now, and obviously a different type of person as president and a different cabinet, now, we expect to see some changes in that too. So we're probably going to tap the brakes a little bit and let them get up to steam before we get too far down the road.
What's the mental health budget every year now?
Well, with the local dollars, state dollars, about $300 million, but total with state and federal, close to $900 million a year.
How does that? Do you have a lot of accountants on staff to keep up with the money and everything?
Steve, we have 1,300 employees.
That's what I was going to ask you next.
And we have 150 here in Montgomery, 900 that run the hospitals in Tuscaloosa.
So out of your 13,
but really when you take a look at it, the amount of overhead and administrative cost is less than 2%. Not very many businesses can run an organization that large with that low overhead. But yeah, we have to manage to the satisfaction of the federal government with reports and everything else that we're doing exactly what they tell us to do. So yeah, it takes quite a bit of massaging of the data and get it back to them and the legislature. They want to have, we're going through the budgeting process now before the legislature comes in on February the 7th.
Yeah.
So we're already going through some of those mechanisms.
So you're 1,350 employees, 900 of them in Tuscaloosa?
That's right. Well, if you've got 500 patients up there, which is about what we have, and you've got 24/7 coverage, you're...
Well, you have to go to Tuscaloosa a lot, don't you?
I do. I opened an office in Bryce Hospital. Previous commissioners maintain an office here, but I felt like with that you know, I'm an old small business guy. I want to be there where my people are. I want them to know who I am. I want to walk the halls. I want to see the delivery. So I have an office in Tuscaloosa.
It's only about 150 of your employees are here in Montgomery.
That's right. You know, Taylor Hardin was a commissioner under George Watts.
Right.
And when he appointed Taylor Hardin, I think the word was that Commissioner Hardin said, well, Governor, I'll take the job, but I don't want to move to Tuscaloosa. And so at one time, everything was in Tuscaloosa.
You mean that was expected with the Mental Health Commission would be in Tuscaloosa?
Right. So one of the things I want to do, and remember, I work at the pleasure of the governor. And we have 24 months left in this term. So in the next 24 months, there are things that I'm trying to do within the budget to help reduce our demand on budget dollars and go into more service. So I would love to see more presence in Tuscaloosa of the management and less in Montgomery.
So before Taylor Hardin, all the mental health commissions were in Tuscaloosa?
Pretty much.
Would they pick somebody who was from Tuscaloosa a lot of times, who was from there?
Well, I don't know, Steve, but you know, it's a lot of people that serve on cabinet level positions don't really live in Montgomery. Now I moved to Montgomery. I'm pretty hands-on, so I wanted to be right here close.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm here. Would I move to Tuscaloosa if I need to? If it'll make it work better, that's what I'm going to do.
It's not a bad drive. 82 is not. It's not the best drive.
It's a couple hours.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a couple hours.
Seems to never end.
But it's good to see the people up there. Let me tell you something. The most passionate and compassionate people I've met work in mental health. You can't do what they do if you're not called. You know, you don't do it for the money.
No.
It's a tough job. We've got good people doing it. They're very passionate about it.
Well, I tell you what, you're doing a good job. But our time's up, Jim. Appreciate you taking time to be with us.
My pleasure, Steve.
It's a busy job. And again, folks, our guest tonight has been Jim Perdue, former probate judge of Crenshaw County, who is the head of the Department of Mental Health for the state of Alabama, one of the state's largest departments. And we thank him for being with us, and we thank you viewers for watching Alabama Politics, and I hope you tune again next week. Thank you. Thank you, Jim.